Hi, this is Hannah Turpin, and this is my final video report. I teach kindergarten, and in my class I have 23 students, 16 girls and 7 boys. Out of my 23 students, 3 of them are ELL learners, and all 3 of them are at level 1. 2 are refugees from Syria, with their first language being Arabic, and the third, her first language, is Farsi. A typical day in our classroom, the students come in and they get breakfast, and then after that we move into a 70-minute math block, with the big emphasis in kindergarten being building a foundation in numeracy and counting. After that, the students have recess, they come back, and we have a lesson on the letter of the week, and then phonemic awareness, such as syllables, blending, identifying phonemes, things like that. After that, we have small group rotations where the students work with me, my classroom aide, they do work at their seats, they do games on the computer, and then they do activities on the rug. After that, we have what we call the concept talk portion of language arts, and this is typically one of the more difficult parts of the day for ELL learners because we have a question of the week that students are expected to answer, and we have some amazing words, which are key vocabulary words that students are taught. And because so much of this relies on background knowledge and it requires a lot of vocabulary, it tends to be difficult for them, and a lot of times they just end up repeating sentences that I give them so that they can get that practice using English. After that, we have lunch and recess, and then they come back, and in kindergarten, all students, regardless of if they are ELL or not, receive 30 minutes of English language development. And this is, again, just teaching them vocabulary and getting them to speak in complete sentences about different things. After that, we have what we call the oral language block, where children just get to play, and the idea is that they're helping to build each other's vocabulary while interacting with each other. My first concrete example comes from one of my little refugees from Syria, and she's only been in the country for about a month and a half. And a few weeks ago, we were at our small groups, and she wanted to use the whiteboards that I have, and so she kept pointing to them saying, "Me do this, me do this." And I tried to communicate back to her by saying, first we do this, pointing to the activity I had planned, then we do this, pointing to the whiteboards. And she responded by smiling and saying, "Me no speak English." And it's actually quite impressive that at this point she can syntactically form a sentence as well as she can, given that she's only been in the country for a really short period of time. We see that she understands that the word me refers to herself, and she uses it as the referent in her sentence in place of the grammatically correct noun I. And in the second sentence, you can see that she understands the word no as something that indicates an inability to do something, and she uses that as the adverb instead of the grammatically correct do not. And again, she uses me instead of the grammatically correct noun I. And so you can see a few grammatical errors, but for the most part, she's able to convey that she doesn't comprehend what I'm saying. My next 2 examples come from the same student whose first language is Farsi. One day I was playing When Will My Life Begin from Tangled, and she got really excited, and she said, "It's Miss Punzel! It's Miss Punzel!" And you can see in this that she gets the majority of the phonemes correct. However, she replaces the bilabial or she uses the bilabial sound instead of the correct velar sound. And another interesting thing is that instead of using the schwa sound for the ra and Rapunzel, she uses the I sound, Miss Punzel. And I looked into Farsi and I found out that they actually only have 5 or 6 vowels in their language as opposed to English where we have 15 or 16. And so this can kind of help to explain why she opts for the high vowel I instead of that schwa sound. And my third example comes from the same student. And instead of pronouncing my name the correct way as Miss Turpin, she calls me Mr. Finn. And so again, you can see that she gets the majority of the phonemes correct, but she mixes up the bilabial p sound with the labiodental f. And in all of these situations, I don't think I do anything different because in kindergarten so much emphasis is placed on building phonemic awareness and teaching students how to speak that I think my students would get it eventually. Thanks.